All righty. We are live with Sarah Epting. Hold on. I want to put our little names here so people remember your name. I have to remember how to do that. Found them. There they are. Look at that. We are with Sarah today. Sarah is, I think you've said you are a self-described
disorganized
person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited to learn more about all the different tools that you use to make yourself organized and super efficient. And then I want you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself too, just so we know who we're talking to. And then whenever you're ready, you can steal the show.
All right. Well, I have a slide for that. So I will.
Okay, I'll get out of your way.
Go ahead. I will start presenting. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
All right.
All right. Go have fun. Bye.
Okay, so I am Sarah Epting. I am founder and CEO of Technopath. And so my journey to get to a founder and CEO of a company, a Salesforce consultancy, was I started as a nonprofit professional. So I was a nonprofit professional and I had fundraising and marketing were my background. And so that's what I was doing fundraising and marketing. But at small nonprofits, you have to wear a lot of hats. So I also wore the hat of technology, and I was the person turning off the server. We didn't have cloud-based. Turning off and on the server. I was the person troubleshooting and learning SQL. And I trained people on how to use the technology that we adopted as a nonprofit. And then I went on to learn Salesforce. So in that nonprofit process, I worked for a nonprofit that used Salesforce and then decided to dive in and learn that. And I used Trailhead, which is a learning platform to learn Salesforce. And I started teaching other people how to use Salesforce as I was learning it myself. And I was able to get a position as a Salesforce administrator, which is a type of position that a lot of entry-level Salesforce backend developers get. So that's the person who is creating users and deactivating users and creating drop-down fields and that kind of thing. And so I was also training people as I was doing that. So learning, and I found that as a consistent theme in all the jobs where somebody else was hiring me or I was wanting to learn something, I was always teaching it at the same time. So come 2020, I founded an organization to help nonprofits implement and maintain Salesforce. So my plan was to help other people who were like me, who hadn't learned Salesforce, learn Salesforce, help them get their admin cert, which is the first step in your Salesforce career, and then also work with local nonprofits. I was in Florida at the time, see the swimsuit. So help local nonprofits with their Salesforce, with an internship, apprenticeship program. But we all know what happened in March of 2020. So I kind of shifted, took some full-time roles, and now I am training and doing a training program again, which is where some of these productivity and also tools that I'm going to show you today come in. So when I was young, I got tested for learning disabilities, and my mother told me later in life that the psychologist said, you cannot give her too much help with organization. And that nonprofit that I talked about that I worked at for a while, where I was the fundraising, marketing, and tech person, anybody I worked with there would tell you that my desk looked like that. Papers everywhere. I am not an organized person. Do not have an organized mind. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I thought that I do with this presentation, is walk you through one of my days with the tools that I use. So what are the roles of us founders and creators? We have a lot to handle, and technology can help with that. So we have to do marketing, and we have to do the sales, and we have to do client communications, and we have to do content creation and accounting and finance and HR, and like talk about learning about stuff. You doing it all as some of these I was trained to do. I got a degree in nonprofit management. That's kind of business management. I knew how to do some accounting, but it all piles on you pretty quickly when you're trying to organize your day. And if you think about the tech that you're needing for each of these categories, is social media for marketing. And then maybe you need a podcast and YouTube and a website editor and mass email marketing and landing pages and graphics and sales. We need a virtual meeting capacity. So we need a Zoom. We need a e-contract. So we need ability to send a contract out to a client and say, yes, I'll pay for your services. We need a CRM, customer relationship management system. We need Sales Navigator on our LinkedIn for salespeople. Channel if you're working with a team or virtual assistants or something, and a project management system and course creation system. It gets a lot of tech that you need to make yourself run. And when you're a solo entrepreneur, it can be really overwhelming. So I'm just going to touch on a few of the cool things that I've recently started doing. So time blocking. The tool that I'm going to show you today is Sansama. Melissa, who's somebody in our founders community, mentioned Reclaim. I looked into this. I don't know it, so I'm not going to really demo it today, but that's another one that's even more AI than what I'm about to show you. You need a video production tool, OBS Studio, which was giving me a little bit of problems before I hopped into this live. So I'm actually not in my normal recording studio space, but I can still show you the software. Podcast and video editing, which is Descript, and then video meeting transcription, Fathom AI. Oh my gosh. For those who may have been in the boat like me, who needed a note taker in college, or you just don't like to take notes at meetings, this thing rocks, and it's free. And then graphics creation, I think a lot of us are familiar with Canva. And then if we have time, we'll get to ChatGPT for planning and writing. So a day in the life of me. Let's start. Step 1, Sansama. So I will start my day in Sansama, which is a task management app. So I am going to the tomorrow area, and I'm going to start planning tomorrow because I've already planned my today. So I have some weekly objectives that it landed me on. So I'm launching my YouTube channel this week. I'm creating some new videos. I am finishing some reports for a client. I'm planning the next quarter's calendar. I'm adding 2 more sections to a big workbook I'm doing for my course relaunch. Each week I'm adding 2 more sections. I'm starting the process of a website refresh. So there's a lot of objectives this week. And I don't always meet all of them. I'm a very ambitious person, as most entrepreneurs are, but that is kind of how my week is looking, and that's what I'm sitting on when I go to plan today. So I'm clicking on my calendar right here, and so I can see, all right, I have a meeting. I have 2 meetings. So I'm going to pick the events that I want, and I guess I haven't accepted this meeting. I need to accept it. Attending. Okay, so I want to pick the events that I want to add as tasks, because that really is taking up time, even if it is a meeting. So I get to pick the task I want. Sorry, I've just clicked on the wrong thing. I'm not wearing my glasses to reduce glare. Okay, pick events. All right, so I get to say which of these events are tasks for tomorrow. okay, I'm going to say I'm going to write. My medicine is just something on my calendar as a reminder. And I'm not going to be able to make the founders networking because it's at the same time as I'm doing another presentation. So, and sure, I'll put a walk as a task. So those are all tasks now. And I usually do this on today, so it doesn't. All right. So now I can also add tasks from my weekly objectives, or they could have been archived. So I can look at what hasn't been done or was done previously. And I can say, you know what? My theme, a lot of people, Elon Musk does theme days. My theme's going to be content creation tomorrow because I do have these meetings, but I have a big blank space here in my morning, which is good creation time where I can start creating. So I'm going to look at some of these weekly objectives that were very creative, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to add 2 more sections I'm going to create new videos tomorrow. I am going to interview Fiverr website creators. And what's really cool is when I do that, I can link this to an objective. So I can align it with an objective. So that is the start the website refresh objective. And I can categorize things. So I've created all these different categories for myself so I can see where I'm spending my time. So website and other marketing creation is one of those things. So now I've added some good objective ones from my weekly objectives. Maybe I have some other things on my mind in terms of content creation. One of the things that I do is I created a study guide, and for the nonprofit success pack that sits on top of Salesforce. And Salesforce has just introduced a new product for nonprofits. So I've been meaning to put some time in my day for that. So I need to also do that. So let me say study new nonprofit cloud. And that's probably going to take me, well, it's going to take me a long time to learn the whole thing, but let me at least set aside 30 minutes or let's say an hour in my day. I'm going to review or interview people 30 minutes of my day for Fiverr creators. I might assign that to my assistant. This adding 2 more sections to a workbook, I at least want to allow an hour and a half for that. And maybe I don't have time for creating new videos. Because the best thing about this that now I can do is I can pull this over. So I can just say, all right, right at 9 o'clock, I'm going to start doing this. And then I'm going to go ahead and interview some people, look at some Fiverr. Oops, sometimes it does that. And study the new nonprofit cloud. Okay, I've blocked time to do that. I've blocked time to do a lot of really great stuff now. Let me see. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of hard time. There we go. And then I do have time to create new videos, but you also want to add lunch in there. Make sure you eat. So drag that over to remind myself, because entrepreneurs, we get busy and we don't always do those things. And now I have, before my 2 o'clock meeting, I have an hour and a half to create some new videos or edit some videos. So we'll go ahead and give myself an hour and a half to do that. And there we go. So that's Sunsama. I really enjoy that. And after you finish planning this day, you can plan the next, or you can plan your whole week. There's a lot of different ways to use it. But my disorganized self, when I learned about this, when I had all these other things going on. One thing I didn't mention is that it also connects to your email. If you want to find a task from your email and pull that in as a task, or this is ClickUp project management. It also works with Asana and that sort of thing. So my disorganized mind, I don't like to make to-do list. I can get up in the morning or before I go to bed at night and type out all these different tasks. And they say that that's what CEOs, the best CEOs do, is that they are able to plan their day early in the morning or late at night. But really having that on my calendar, because I live and breathe by my calendar as a founder, makes me focus. Like, no, I can't be thinking about this other thing. What I said I was going to do is add 2 more sections to the workbooks. That's what I'm working on right now. It kind of just gives me that, centers me. So we're adding 2 more sections to the workbook. We're doing some videos. I wanted to show you guys a really cool video tool that I use for recording. And like I said, I had a little bit of difficulty, but I do have a couple of slides that show essentially what it does. So I'm just going to go back to my slides. So I thought this is, if you don't know this person, she's Layla Grant, I think that, no, Layla, I don't remember her last name, from Process Driven. And she's able to go quickly from being full screen, Layla, forgive me, to having her presentation just right here, to being in the corner a little bit, which I was hoping to be able to do for you guys today. But like I said, I had some technical difficulties for my recording room. So tech can slow you down too sometimes. But there's a really simple tool called OBS Studio that's completely free, that has a little bit of a steep learning curve, but there's plenty of YouTube on how to set it up. And you can get something called an ATM Mini Pro. So you can kind of see here where it has picture in picture. You can just press these buttons while you're doing a presentation. And I haven't gotten this fancy yet, but you can press these buttons while you're doing a presentation, and then it can quickly move you around the screen while you're presenting. And that can be a really cool tool to learn. And like I said, it does have a bit of a steep learning curve. It's called OBS Studio, but it can integrate with your iPhone camera, which is why I got it, because I wanted to be able to have a virtual background behind me with my logo, Technopath, and then also be able to quickly get into, like I am right now, I'm in the bottom of the screen with the presentation. I wanted to quickly be able to go to different screens while I'm doing software trainings and things like that. And this can do that. And a cheaper version of it that you can also program is called Stream Deck. So that's another cool one that you can see or you can check out. So that would be the next thing. I did my video, right? So I'm taking you through my day. I did a Sunsama. We went into OBS Studio. We made some videos. And now we made the video. We need to edit the video. This is my new favorite tool. So let's bring it up to script. All right. So this is the script. It can edit audio or video, and it transcribes it. So you can see the transcription here of this interview that I did with my husband last week for my podcast.
Hey, Sarah, we're just seeing Canva, so we might need to.
Can you stop sharing then so I can
Yes.
share? Or, stop whatever I need to do. Okay.
Yes, and
I
then
need to press
reshare.
present again.
Is this the tool that automatically removes like ums and buts when you're?
It is. It
I'm
is,
so excited about this one.
and I'm excited. Okay, screen share.
You might have to do it again.
I do it. Okay,
There we go.
there we go. This time I picked entire screen, so hopefully I won't have to do that again. All right, so this is my interview with my husband, Angel. This is just the audio, but you can do this with video with the script too. And you can see if I go to this little magic thing, remove filler words, it's catching 118 ums and uhs. And I would say they're mostly from my husband, but they're from me too. So I can either go to each one of them and decide whether or not I wanted to delete it out. So let me just play it for you. I don't know if you can hear the sound.
Thank you. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Can you guys hear it? Michael?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
It's a little faint, but we can hear it.
Okay. So you heard me say and I can just get rid of them altogether. Apply to all. And it's going to remove all the ums and uhs. And so this is what I use to edit podcasts now. So he'll repeat himself some, like right here.
And the long story short, I graduated high school, got my bachelor's. I graduated from the university with a bachelor's.
So he started over. So all that, in long story short, can just be deleted.
One semester. I graduated from Temple University.
And you can't tell the difference. And it's so amazing. And it works with videos too. It'll take out your ums and your uhs. And you can even search for words. So other filler words you can upgrade for filler words, but you can also search for well, I have done it in the past. Search for text. Okay. Different people have different filler words when you're interviewing them. So some people might say so. I do that one a lot. And a lot of people say, you know. So before they're about to explain something that I ask a question about, tell us about the time you did this, 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 and this. And a lot of times they say, you know. And, no, we don't know because I just asked you. So I can type in, you know. It can find all the different places that you know is there. And I can delete those out, or I can listen to the words and say, you know, it looks like that would be a good, just meta, just said it. I think that this, you know, makes sense and this one doesn't. So I really, really like Descript. Like I said, it works not just with audio files, but with video files. So if you're trying to start a YouTube channel and you keep feeling like you just flub up one little thing, or you're explaining it and then you've tried to go into a video editor and like just snip things out, just based like pause, then do the scissors and snip it out. This is so much easier. So that's the next part of my day. And then maybe I need to make a graphic for it, or maybe I need to go to create that workbook that I talked about. So that was one of the things in my day that we planned in Sansama. So the other tool that I use to do that is Canva. So this is a very popular tool. Probably a lot of you use it. If you haven't been using it, it's friggin' amazing. If you ever were, I did layout editor in high school back in the 90s. Like, this is like so cool for a geek like me. So I might create what did I say? The workbook. So I can search for my presentation workbook under my projects, and I'll just type in workbook. And I'm going to pull it up. And what's really cool about this is if I end up having this course in the real world and not virtual. So this has been a request from a lot of my students to have a workbook with all the activities to be able to print out, because not everybody has 2 screens. But if I get it in the real world, you can actually, once it's done, once I've finished doing all of this, you can actually get Canva to print it as spiral workbooks for you and do it on demand. So I can only print, if I only wanted 10, I could print just 10. So that's the next tool in our tool belt. You can see it, you can bring in pictures pretty easily. So elements that I like to use, I just like to search for, if I'm looking for disorganized person, you see, I did that this today to see if I could find a picture that I liked. So if I was doing this for a presentation like I was earlier today, I might do that. A lot of times with the workbook, since I'm saying, okay, these are the things that I need to do in section 4. So I haven't created section 4 yet. I just put all the different objectives for section 4 here. So I can just duplicate this page that was the last page of section 3, move it down, and then just change the headers to be the same as what I said my objectives were. So I just create blank pages for myself. So my disorganized mind now is not going crazy. It's still, I still have some semblance of organization as I'm able to do this. So being able to, so what we've done so far, we've been able to time block our day. Now I'm focusing, and I've already edited my podcast, and now I'm editing things in Canva. And the next one on our list for, then we went to a meeting, okay? So let's just say, I messed up the order because I was going to say the meeting was going to be after the video editing. Okay, so now we've done our video editing, we've done our workshop stuff, and now we are in a meeting. And there are so many different AI meeting recorders. Otter, Fathom is the one I'm going to show you. So this is a Fathom video recording of a Founders Community Weekly Networking meeting that we have twice a week, I think, Mike, in our Founders Community, which is a place where we can just talk about how one another's doing, and you can see the AI summary of our meeting. The group had a discussion about their respective content creation strategies. Melissa talked about her work as a fractional content marketing leader for startups, while Sarah discussed her Salesforce consulting and training for nonprofits. Jackie shared her approach of writing posts based on conversations and questions, and also considered recording herself while walking to make content creation easier. I mean, how cool is that? They took that from our hour-long meeting of transcript. They condense it down. AI, the machine, Fathom, condenses it down for you. And then you can copy the summary for use in email. So you can send it. You can automatically, if you're the host of the meeting, you can automatically share the Fathom recording with everyone right away. They won't be able to download the video, but you can download the video and then give it to someone, which I've had to do a couple different times in different meetings where the person who scheduled the meeting, the Zoom meeting, was not the host, although we could all be in there, and recording was disabled. And so this is a lot, that is a really cool thing that we can do. is be able to record even if Zoom recording is disabled because there was the scheduling, the person who scheduled the meeting was the host, and the person who's running the meeting from the company cannot actually press record. So you can actually also, the other cool thing about Fathom that I like is if I wanted to delete everything above Mike, I love that, like the chit chat that happens at the beginning of the meeting, I could just click on these 3 dots and trim all sections before this section. So then it's a quick way, again with the quick video editing, it's a quick way to just trim everything before that, which I find very helpful. And the last thing is ChatGPT. I haven't been watching the comments. How many of you use ChatGPT? Do you use it, Mike?
I use ChatGPT like every day.
You use it every day. How do you use it?
So if I'm writing, a lot for writing, I will use it for prompts. But so I will give me a template for an email, or give me I wrote a founders community newsletter today, and I wanted it to summarize a bunch of information more succinctly. So I took a first stab at it and then had it summarized, and then I rewrote it again. I'm trying to think of what else I do, but essentially lots of writing.
Yes, lots of writing. For geeks like me, we can also do code, like you can put in code and ask it to describe the code. What is this code doing? And then if you don't understand what ChatGPT spits out after you put in what is this code doing, you can say, make it simpler, make it simpler. Like explain it to me like I'm a third grader. You can put in those kinds of things, but writing and thinking about it like a second Google. So if you've ever written something and you've been working on something and you're like, oh, I want a sample of a cover letter, or you could say, I write me a cover letter for this specific job. I have this, you could just write out in like a sentences what your experience is, and ChatGPT could write you that cover letter. Now, some people can pick up on it. So I had a student of mine say that she had somebody read over her cover letter and he could tell that she wrote it using ChatGPT. So you have to be careful with it. But for founders who are on a busy schedule, for me, I record a podcast every week. I have not banked any right now. You want to be on my podcast? Let me know. Send me a line. So a lot of times when I'm interviewing somebody, right before I'm interviewing them, I might be like, please give me some questions for a podcast interview for someone with these credentials. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I don't put my own flair on it and my own personality, but it just gets the mind jogged and going, and that helps so much. My next thing that I would love is to be able to do something like Fathom, where we can upload videos and have it summarize it for us. I've been in the mood to have that a few times when I make videos for myself, and I'm like, okay, well, I want a summary of the YouTube video that I am making, so why can't I just push that into AI and they can give me a little blurb about it, or write me a blog based on the video that I have.
I feel like that exists. I just don't know how.
It probably does. I just don't know. That's the next one that I need to find.
Yeah. Emily in the comments said they also find ChatGPT more useful than Google for learning new technical things. So setting up DKIM for new email domains and some of these things. Like I actually had I would say that's the other, like, ChatGPT is great for learning new things because it will adjust to your learning style and the questions that you're asking. So like
Mm,
it's almost like it's almost like Wikipedia where it has all of these. This is actually a terrible example because it's just my learning style, but not everybody's. But if you go to Wikipedia and you're learning about something and you're like, oh, I don't know what that is, and you click into their hyperlinked text within the Wikipedia article, all of a sudden you're going into more and deeper into these specific topics. So I needed to learn how, like, HTML. I have a very basic knowledge of HTML, and I wanted to have a table within a blog on the website. So I need a block of HTML code with some colors, with some, like, there was a little bit of CSS in there, which, like, don't even, like, I don't know. So I was literally able to, like I was in school, Chat GPT. If I wanted to make the header of this in a bold font and make it a different color, how would I do that? And it would literally give me an example of code. And
yeah,
then I got lazy and said, can you just do that for me with this code? And then it did
I
that.
know, right? It's pretty amazing, and I'm glad you brought up different learning styles. So, like I said at the beginning, my the psychologist told my mom you can't help her enough with organization, and some of the tools I use might be helpful to you. Someone like Melissa, who's in our group, who told me about Reclaim, which like I said, I hadn't had a chance to really thoroughly check out to really be able to tell you. What she described it as was you can have, instead of being a pantser like me, fly by the seat of your pants, where you're planning your day the day of, she has things planned out 2 and 3 months. And so her learning style and her brain is going to work differently than mine. And Reclaim, when a new meeting comes in to her day, is able to shift a task around, and I it sounds wonderful if you have everything kind of planned out, but it's able to actually figure out when things can fit in, when new meetings come in or when tasks don't get complete. It shifts them for you and keeps it kind of, I guess, reclaims your time, as where you saw me dropping. It might do it a little bit more automatically for you if you can really take the time. I feel like I need a helper for me
Yeah.
in my learning style to really get 2 or 3 months planned out the road. But you saw
Yeah.
it was one of my objectives. So
Hmm.
for this week was to plan
Yeah. Yeah.
the
On
next
that
quarter.
note, Um, Dr. Bergmark has a question. I'm going to put it up on the screen and I'll also read it out loud. So he says, my biggest issue with organization and planning software or habits is rather quickly the alerts and notifications lose their salience. And without realizing it, he stops using them. What
Mm,
strategies do you use to keep your processes visible and effective?
I am doing just what I showed you, so that everything I just live and breathe by my calendar. So you can create habits and do goal tracking apps, and then you get behind, right? But if you're only saying, okay, the tasks I'm going to do are going to be on my calendar, and I even put breakfast and lunch. And if you looked at my one today, shower and put on makeup for talk, get ready for talk, I that is what keeps me on track, is just the calendar. And then that way it's not a bunch of different notifications that I didn't do the 15 things, because as founders, we reach for the stars and we have such high hopes for ourselves, I guess. Like, typically optimistic people, I would say, start businesses, not pessimistic people. So I am one of those people who thinks I can get all these 20 things done in a day. But what Santama helps me do is be realistic. because if I write them out and then I say, okay, this will be 30 minutes, this will be an hour, and I pull them over my calendar, I'm like, oh, I can't do these 10 things I thought I could do. I can't make 10 more I can't edit the 5 videos I made last week. I can't do that and still keep true to what I said I was going to do for my clients, keep true to what I said I was going to do today, and, do accounting and all the boring stuff that you have to do. So that's, Dr. Bergmark, that's an excellent question. And I think that it goes back to your learning style for sure, and finding a system that works for you. And I was thrilled to find this through my friend and colleague, Matt Henry, who's also a Salesforce consultant, told me about it. And now I am an affiliate, and that's not why I'm an affiliate. Somebody said, he brought up this commercial from the 90s from Men's Hair Club. I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm a consumer too, or something like that. They approached me and I became an affiliate because I had been talking about them so much on things like this and on my podcast and just mentioning them in posts. And I just think it's a really wonderful software. You could do it. You could say, what am I going to do today, and make calendar events, but something about my brain and how my brain works. So you got to find what works for you for sure. But if notifications you don't want, then this might be a good one.
Do you ever, I'm just curious and sort of unrelated to tools, but my learning style and my work style, I need to work backwards almost. Like if my goal is to do, I need to set a big goal of, I want to do 100 videos this year. Well, how many videos that I do math?
Yeah, how many do you have to do each week?
And then I need to go backwards and find out how many I need to do per month, and then how many I need to do per week. And then I figure out how to put it in my schedule and see if that's possible. And I feel like it's inefficient sometimes, but it's what works for me. It's like I need the big picture, or I can't even look at the small picture.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely. And I have the big goals, and for me it's harder to break them down into the little goals. And that's one of the things I'm working on this week. And I have 2 interns and a project management intern. So she's really pushing me to do the agile project management method. And so she's like, what's your definition of done on that? And I've been in meetings where you talk about definition of done or user acceptance criteria. But usually the user stories that I had been dealing with until we started to try to break down my own projects were client stories. So they wanted a dashboard or a report or something in Salesforce, say, or an automation. So the user acceptance criteria is that the automation is functioning and sends an email to alert the person like they wanted. I mean, not the most eloquent way to say that. But for me, then thinking about, what's the definition of done on a website update? What's the definition of done and the acceptance criteria for selling more courses or selling more? Like, what is more? And putting those metrics on it and really being pushed to then put that into a project management tool. It's hard. It's not easy. It's like I set it up for other people, but it's hard to do for myself. It really, really is difficult for me. And so I appreciate everybody who has different brains being able to consult, converge on.
Totally. And I think I could be wrong. In your slide deck, did you include that you use ChatGPT to help with planning things?
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah. Tell me more, because I don't think I've done that yet.
So, like I said, planning what I'm going to interview on a podcast.
Yeah.
Or I did give me a 10-day Hawaiian vacation itinerary. How much would that cost? Where could I stay? Like, I was able to not have to do research. We're not going to Hawaii. It told me it's too expensive. But I've done that for other kinds of planning, like give me an agenda for a meeting where I'm trying to onboard a new staff person. So rather than having to think through all the different things, even though I'm gonna have to add in my own flair and details and things like that, it gives me that general, just a quick like, okay, yeah, that's a standard thing. You can't forget to talk about how to log your time, how to, that kind of thing. So I think that's how I've used it for planning. Look, I'm looking at, and I've used it for research for the novel I'm writing as well. So what would the premise has a person who's escaped an abusive marriage, and I actually asked it, what are the laws in Mississippi if a wife has the car that's registered to her husband and she's on the insurance, but it's not her registration. If she's driven it away, is it considered stolen? And yes, it is. So things like that, it's really cool tool. I know.
Yeah.
Probably talk about it a lot, but
yeah, and then have you seen Google's recent update on Google's AI tool? I think you're gonna love it if you haven't.
I have not. No.
Okay, so this is the one that I want you to look up next. I forgot what it's called. I think it starts with a B. It is, gosh, what's it called? Oh no. Google AI. Bard. And I don't know what Bard stands for, but I think it was last week, they came out with essentially a ChatGPT competitor that they've been working on. I think they just accelerated its development since ChatGPT. I don't know that for sure, but essentially what you can do is very similar to ChatGPT, except it's Google, so it can read Google in real time, almost, of like, hey, I think the example they give is like, I'm looking for a summer dress for a wedding. And then you can add on to it, okay, but I want it to be green. And it just keeps going and getting all of these Google search results for you. And then you go, okay, now I want shoes with that. Can you compare these shoes to give me different options. Like, I want to compare different options.
Within this budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I had someone on my podcast, Josh Pesquet, talk about AI, and he talked about it like we were at the bottom curve of a hockey puck.
Yeah.
And you can imagine it's just about like we're right here at the edge, and it's just gonna, and you can kind of, I had this conversation with him like 5 months ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I can really see it. It's even since we've talked, it feels like it's shooting up. And he used an analogy of lily pads. If you had lily pads in a pond, how long would it take for the lily pads to cover the full pond? And if they were doubling every, I can't remember it. Never mind. It was a great analogy. I'll have to look it up and post it.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you record it with the meeting recording tool?
No, it wasn't with the new the script. I can't do a search for it, but but we can look it up on the Technopath way. Josh Pesquet is a very interesting conversation, and he writes he used to spend basically the time he used to spend writing blogs for his company. He works in an IT company that does various things like be your in-house CTO. And the time was cut down from spending, I want to say something like, I want to say it was cut down like by a 30th, like spends 30 minutes instead of 15 hours or something like that. It was just crazy what he said he was able to do. The conversation was prior to ChatGPT being released. So
yeah, it's incredible what these tools are able to. I mean, I remember, like, I'm not that old, but I remember floppy disks in school, and that was the big thing of like, you could work on different computers in school and you didn't have to go back to the same computer every time. You could save information on like this giant disk, and those existed for like 2 or 3 years. Maybe not even that, maybe like a year, and then all of a sudden hard drives, like CDs and hard drives were created, and then it feels like things paused for a decade, but I feel like everybody was just working on things in the background and said, COVID surprise. We had a little bit more time to work on everything.
I think it's just the build, like everything builds on itself. And it's funny thing you mentioned the CDs. My dad, he refused to get a CD player. Like all my friends had CDs, and I was going to the tape section. The tape section had gotten smaller and smaller and smaller in in the music store. And he said it was because, now, I didn't quite understand it at the time, but basically, he thinks that they'll get stuff, they're going to invent the iPod, and he doesn't want to invest in one more, like going from records to 8 tracks to tapes to CDs. He doesn't want to go make the CD leap. Well, he finally made the CD leap because it didn't quite get there. Like it wasn't, he thought it was going to get there in 1994, 1995, and
yeah, little early.
A little early, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this. This has been super enlightening. You said are you an affiliate for all of these or just some of these?
Just Sunsama.
Okay, because I want to make sure that if people want to try it out, that you get some credit because it looks incredible. So I want to get your link, and I'm going to put it in the comments of the chat, and then we'll.
I'm pulling it up right now.
All right, cool. Well, I'll go ahead and I'm sure if anyone has any questions about how to use some of these or pointers or how you go about your day, I'm sure they can contact you on LinkedIn or in Founders Community. You were right. We meet twice a week on a workshop networking call where we talk about things like this and entrepreneurship in general and how to optimize and increase sales and revenue. So we do that twice a week, and then we have a call like this once a week. So if anyone's interested in joining, you can absolutely do so at founders-community.com. And I'll let you all. Sarah and I are going to let you go about your day, and we're going to get you this link. And I'm kind of anxious to get off this call so I can go try out some of these tools.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Well, thank you so much for having me. I posted the link in the Sunsama in the thing, but also thank you for all that you do. It was so cool to go back to the AI summary of the Fathom recording that I had and read it like that. This group discussed, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of something like this where you're being able to talk to each other and feel things out when you're working remotely and you're starting something on your own, it could feel really isolating. So thank you for creating the Founders Community.
Well, thank you. It is my favorite thing. So, and then I just put that in the comments of this video as well, and we'll put it in Founders Community. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll hear from you again when more tools come out. So, or about Salesforce. So we'll see.
All right. Thank
right.
you
Thank
all.
you. Bye.
Bye.